Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Boli Sharma ji. And if you're new to this channel, please do hit that subscribe button in order to stay connected with my journey within United States and also to view all the awesome content about United States that I'm producing. So today I'm here with my third episode of the series that I have named as Blue Skies Ahead and Dream Big. And in this particular episode, I have Abhijit Ray with me, who has a very inspiring journey, I would say. And he has a secret sauce as to how he got 5 jobs after he graduated from his course. So we are definitely going to deep dive into that and kind of see what Abhijit has to share, and definitely him being a experienced person who has gone through the entire process will definitely be sharing a couple of good resources too. So with that being said, let's start the conversation. So Abhijit, as a quick follow-up, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, thank you, Saurav. First of all, I'd like to thank you for giving me this opportunity and taking this initiative basically to help students who wants to pursue their higher education. So it's a commendable job that you're doing, and I'm very happy to be a part of it. So yeah, my name is Abhijit. I am basically from Odisha, but my dad served in Indian Air Force, because of which we had to shift different locations, different cities in every 3 years. From past 10 years, I've been staying in Bangalore. So it's like a home to me right now. And I actually did my undergraduation in electronics and communications branch. And I graduated in 2015. I got placed in a multinational company, which I'm pretty sure everyone have heard about it, which is Tech Mahindra. So I was working as a automation testing engineer there. I worked for 3 years. And during those 3 years, I was fortunate enough to have some global experience as well. Basically, my company did send me to different countries because of the work-related stuffs. I have been to London, Germany, Hong Kong, Macau. So I had global experience. When I was working in automation testing, I always was fascinated with data as well. I always liked to create dashboards, wrangle with the data, play around with the data. I was always fascinated with it. So I not only wanted a job, but before getting that job, I wanted to get that in-depth knowledge. So that's when I decided to pursue my master's. I started applying back in 2018, and I applied to 6 to 7 universities, out of which I got acceptance from 5 universities, I believe. I chose Georgia State University because of various reasons. I'm pretty sure you were the one I spoke with a lot of times, and you were the one who were initially who was helping me to guide me in the right path. So because of my various reasons, I chose Georgia State University. I came in fall 2019, that is August 2019. Pursued my master's in big data analytics, and I graduated the very next year. It was a 1-year course, so I graduated in August 2020. As I mentioned, I came in August 2019. By the end of December, as you have already mentioned, I had 5 offers at my hand. So I did my spring internship in Cardlytics. I did my summer internship in Anthem. I had various other offers as well, but I spoke with a lot of HRs, I spoke with a lot of seniors and made my decision to which company to go for. So in spring, I did Cardlytics. In summer, I did Anthem, and Anthem ended up giving me full-time opportunity. So I am currently working in Anthem itself as a data analyst scientist from past 1 year.
Okay.
So that's all about me, Saurav.
Okay. Thank you so much for the quick introductions, Abhijit. Before we move on to the next serious question, just for the fun and for the viewers, can you tell what were the 5 companies that you were hired, and what were the companies all about, and why did you choose your final offer to be working at?
Okay. So I had offer from Cardlytics. Cardlytics is a credit card transactions company. Basically, they analyze transactions to help the customers and increase their base.
Yeah.
For summer internships, I had 2 offers, one from Anthem and another from Mohawk. So Anthem is a health insurance firm, and Mohawk is one of the top US flooring companies. They basically specializes in rugs, carpets, etc. I had Genpact and LPIC Careers, and also Anthem, where I did my internship. I was fortunate enough to get the opportunity to join Anthem back as a full-time. So Genpact, as I think most of the viewers already know, it's a consulting firm that provides digital transformations to their clients. And then Alpic Career, which is an electricity company. And it's an international firm that provides that, manages the electricity all over the company or their clients. But I chose Anthem because as I have already done internships with them, I already knew the culture. I already knew what kind of work I'm going to get in the near future, which I was really looking forward to. I made a stand in the company. So there was no looking back after I did my internship. So I joined Anthem as a full-time employee.
Thanks, Abhijit. That was really good of you to share your introduction. That brings me to the next question. And you mentioned that in your profile, you were working as an automation testing engineer, and now you are working as a data analyst scientist in that particular domain. So how difficult the switch was, because many of the students, they work in a completely different profile back in their countries. For us, it was India, but now they want to pursue a different path altogether. So how difficult it was, or what would your recommendations be if a person wants to move from one domain to, let's say, a newer domain?
Okay, so I'd start with a very simple word. It's possible. So as I mentioned, I was always fascinated with exploring the data. So this always forced me to do a lot of research, acquire skills related to data. I used to watch a lot of YouTube videos. I used to make projects out of my own interest. So that already gave me a mindset of an analyst before I even come to US. And this switch, as you are mentioning, it's possible, but it's not easy because it's obviously we are switching from one domain to another. So that hard work is required, that proper research and proper acquiring skills sets are required. So once you have that, it's possible for sure. And that's the very good advantage of United States, I can say. You are not limited to a single job or a single role. If you have a skill, you get the opportunity. It's ocean of opportunities, and world is your oysters, right? So if you have the skill, proper skill, and if you are able to meet the requirements as per the data job, which is open in a company, then they will take you. So it's pretty easy to switch the domains, but in the background, we have to work hard so that we acquire the proper skill set that required as per the job required.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair point. Even I had like a software developer background, and then I did some testing in my internship in US, and then I started working as a system engineer, and then I learned something new, moved to cloud. So I definitely agree. It's like you always have to keep learning new skills in order to stay relevant to the market. So that's a very fair point. All right, so let's move on to the next question. All right, so now probably the most important question that even I'm very interested to know, and everyone is too, that what is your secret sauce that you got like 5 job offers when people are not even able to get like one? Because I would not say not get, but it's very hard to even get a one job, and you got like 5 jobs, which is very commendable. So what was your secret sauce, and would you like to share with everyone and let them also kind of progress towards the path of success? And I think a connected question would be like, if a student wants to build their own profile and want to look for internship jobs, what resources or what things worked for you that you would recommend to them as well?
Okay, so speaking about the secret sauce, so there is no replacement of hard work, as you already know. So basically, when I came for my master's, before even landing to US, I already had like 3 projects ready in the analytics domain. I had like solid 3 to 4 months in hand before I come to US. Those 4 months I did utilize properly in a planned manner, in an organized manner. I gave like 1 month to Python, I gave 1 month to SQL, I gave another month to Tableau. I grabbed all the concept that is required. After even grabbing the concepts, I implemented those concepts to create few projects on them. So before even coming to US, I had like 3 to 4 projects ready already in my hand. Those projects did help me a lot during the interviews. In US, as you're already aware, they are more focused on asking about the project that we have worked on during our master's program.
Yeah.
So those 3 to 4 individual projects out of my own interest, plus projects that I'll be doing in my college.
Mm-hmm.
So I have like many projects, like 6 to 7 projects already ready. That helped me a lot to crack a lot of interviews basically. And I never stopped, to be very frank. It's not like once I got a job, like 1 or 2 jobs, I stopped. No, I never stopped. I applied everywhere. I did made up a mind. Before I sleep, I used to always apply 10 jobs per day. That was my goal. Whatever I do in a day, that's not my concern. But my concern is before I sleep, I at least have to apply 10 jobs a day. So let's say if I apply to 100 jobs, at least 5 calls I'll get. Out of 5, at least 1 or 2 I can crack, right? Mm-hmm. So you can imagine the number of jobs I would have applied, like 500 to 600 jobs. So the more jobs we apply, the more the merrier, basically. Yeah. So the more jobs we apply, it's not like I cracked all the interviews. I did fail in many of them as well. My probability of failing is more actually as compared to being success.
That's how you learn.
That's how we learn. But this secret sauce which you asked was pre-planning of the projects, of the concept that is required to crack the interviews. All those pre-planning in an organized manner. Secondly, applying to more and more job roles, because failure rates will be obviously higher, but with that you also have a success rates. Yeah. So that's how I was able to crack few job offers that I had. Now coming to a second question, how a person can prepare for internships, right, to crack an internship or a full-time job. So in my view, from my point of view, there are 3 main things that a person needs. First, a good standard resume.
Yeah.
Second, connection. Mm-hmm. And third, skill sets. Now, if I speak about resume, one thing that I can advise all of the incoming students or all of the guys who are planning to do a master's or for higher education, they have to focus more on showing in the resume their achievements rather than just explaining what they have done in their previous experience. They have to focus on their achievements. Yeah. They have to show what value they created to the company. For example, let's say there is a manual process that is going on. Mm-hmm. And we observe that manual process and we know that we can automate that process. That will save time, that will save manual efforts. So what did we do here? We automated that process to create value for the company. That saved so much money, so much manual efforts for the company. So we are creating a value. Yeah. So if we all do this in an unconscious manner, so all we have to tap into our history, we have to see what we have done, what we have achieved, and basically show that in a very attractive manner in the resumes. So focus more on achievements. If I have to conclude, focusing more on achievements and how did we created value to our company. Yeah. So we have to make our resumes, mold our resumes like that. Once we create those resumes, the next task is to review those resumes with our seniors. That helped me a lot because seniors already who are in that domain, they exactly know how the resumes have to look. What is the standard of the resumes to get calls from the company? So they helped me a lot in organizing my resume in a much better manner. I had like 20 reviews of resume, to be very frank. I made one resume, I reviewed it with the senior, he asked me some changes, then came the second phase, then came the third phase. I also reviewed it with the HRs of the companies. So I did a lot of research and a lot of reviews, and finally, I think on the 20th or 21st revision of my resume, I made the 21st as the final one.
Yeah, and I think
so we are done with the resume.
Yeah, no, sorry to interrupt, but I would say that even after the 20th revision, it's not like the perfect resume. So I just wanted to add that even after 20 resumes, you won't have the perfect resume, but it will probably be good enough to get calls or at least pass the automated application systems. But yeah, please go ahead.
Exactly. So I totally agree with you. I gave few tips that might help for the resumes. The second point that I spoke was about connections. So how can we create connections? First, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the best platform where we can create connections. If we are having 500 plus connections on LinkedIn, that's already a plus point. Recruiters who are having job roles or job vacancies, they themselves might reach to us as compared to a person who is having less than 500 connections. So building good connections, building a good LinkedIn profile already have an upper edge as compared to other profiles. And then attend events that are going on in the colleges or outside of the colleges related to IT or your domain, basically. So the more events we attend, we get in touch with more professionals working in that domain. Yeah. And let's say we met a professional, and going forward in the future, there is a vacancy in his team or in his company. When we reach out to them, they obviously know us personally. So they would be more helpful to us in giving us the referrals or helping us getting the call back. So connections are really important. The third, which I mentioned, was skill set. So there is no replacement of hard work, as I mentioned. We have to focus on skill sets, because even though if we get calls, we have to crack it. No one can help anyone crack the interview, right? The utmost what we can do is we can get the person call back, but in the end he has to crack the interview. So skill sets, hard work, making notes, having the concrete concepts that will help any person to crack internships. And also one more point which I can inform here is, if it is a 2-year course, then they have time. Like obviously, I think for a 2-year course, a person can apply after an year. Yeah. But if it is a 1-year course, like my course was 1-year course, we can apply after our first semester. So we have to start applying as soon as we land, because we don't have a time for a person who is having 1 year of course. Yeah. So let's say anyone who comes in August, like I came in August, I started applying by the 3rd of September. So in like 1 month, I developed my skills, I developed my resume, I developed my LinkedIn, everything was ready. So by second week of September, I started applying. And that was one of the reasons because of which I started getting calls way earlier than other people. Yeah. And I was already in that, interview mode phase, because of which I was able to crack few of the interviews.
Yeah. You have made some good points, and I was just taking a note of things where even I can share my experience. So I think on the resumes that you mentioned around the increase of revenue or the value that you brought. So it's more like, adding a metric to the things that you did. So an example could be, I developed a system which was very good and increased client satisfaction. This is one like a sentence. If I rephrase it with a metrics, it could be, I developed a system which had a response time of less than 3 seconds, which resulted in the process optimization, and the client was very happy with the solution, and they also in turn reached out to the team with a new project worth XYZ dollars based upon the development. So some things on those grounds. So adding a metric is very important. Then I think you talked about LinkedIn, and in LinkedIn, what I have seen, and this is just my personal experience that I'm sharing, whenever you add a person to LinkedIn, always make sure that add a note. Don't just simply send a request, because let's say if you're sending a request to me or Abhijit or anyone, I mean, you are just a random person because I don't know you personally. But if you add a context saying that for what reason you are trying to connect to me, be it like a career opportunity, or if you want to develop cloud skills, or if you are just a person who is passionate about technology, so I would prefer to accept your invite rather than a person who simply sends out an invite. I think that's valid for all the recruiters and everyone in US that I have personally seen. So I just wanted to add to that. But yeah, let's move on to the next question now. So Abhijit, you have been working in the data science / the data analyst domain. And I wanted to understand, like, let's say if a person wants to go into that particular domain, because that's one of the upcoming fields and very fascinating, because, we all know the power of data. So being a person who can play with data is definitely a very good skill set. So what would you recommend the current students or the students who are planning to come to keep in mind? Couple of things or ways they can kind of build their profile so that they can be successful in this particular field or even secure a job?
Okay, so that's a very interesting question, Saurav. When I interact with students on a really daily basis, this question is the most frequent asked questions. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to take this opportunity to clear to everyone who is watching this video. So if anyone wants to be in the data domain, there are 3 skills that a person has to possess. Mm-hmm. SQL, Python, and any visualization tool like Tableau or Power BI. Mm-hmm. Tableau preferably, because most of the companies are using Tableau. So let's first understand the difference between data analytics and data science. Yeah. Okay. So what a data analyst do is he plays around with the data. He tries to find insights from the data and present those insights to the company so that business process can be improved. Mm-hmm. What data analysts do is he plays around with the historical data, like past 10 years or past 1 year, so that he can find the insight. If we speak about data scientist, so what he does is he not only deals with historical data, but he also predicts the future for the company. So if I have to give you an example, let's say there is a supermarket, and people who are in data, company has given them the responsibility of increasing their sales. What data analyst will do is he will take the past 2 years data of supermarket. He will try to find where are the sales that have been decreased. Let's say because of X. Let's take the example of X.
Yeah.
So we can see in 2020 the X sale has been good, but in 2021 they have decreased. Right? So what is the reason? Why did it decrease? So data analyst has to find insights to he has to dig deeper. He has to do a lot of research. He has to play around with the data to find those reasons and present those reasons to the business people, so that business can be improved or sales can be improved. So what is he doing here? He is just dealing with the historical data. That's his job. Now coming to data scientist, as I mentioned, he not only deals with the historical data, but he also predicts the future. So he will predict in 2022, that is the upcoming year, how much sales can be forecasted for X. So if a company already know about their future, if they have already a prediction, just think of a situation how much a company can save for themselves. There can be two scenarios. The first scenario is if they don't know about their future, the first scenario is they might run out of customers' requirements. Right? And the second scenario can be they can bulk up and waste those products. So if they already are aware about the future, company can take required decisions. So that's the difference basically. So now let's discuss the skills that are required for each of their profiles. Now for a data analyst, he needs SQL skill for sure. He needs a data visualization tool for sure, either Tableau or Power BI. And a bit of Python is a plus point. Not in-depth Python, but a basic knowledge of Python is required. Then coming to data scientist, he also requires SQL, Python, Tableau, but in enhancement to predict the future, he needs to have a knowledge of machine learning. So we have to choose what is our strengths. Data analyst basically deals with a lot of executive members. So a person who is good in communications, or he can convey his ideas in a much precise manner, they should choose data analytics domain. A data scientist, on the other hand, is more of a technical job, and if one is much interested in the machine learning stuffs, artificial intelligence stuffs, then this is the domain for that. So now let's discuss how can we possess those requirements or skills. Okay, let me give you a roadmap that I think will help the viewers. So I go ahead and share the screen so that I can give an idea or something.
Sure. Please go ahead.
So the first thing is, as I mentioned, SQL, Python, and Tableau, right? These three skills are utmost required to be in the data domain. Now, there is a gold mine, I can say, a website called as Kaggle. Okay. So if anyone wants to find the data sets, or if anyone wants to play around with the data sets, then this is the website for them. So Kaggle basically is a website where people all over the world who are in data domain, they come together in a single platform and provide their solutions for different data sets. What do I mean by that? So we can see this is the front page of Kaggle. Let's say I go to this option called as data sets, right? If I click on this data set, I can see there are numerous data sets here, abundant data sets like Zomato restaurant data sets, Indian startup funding data sets, COVID-19 data set, 2021 Olympics, which is the most recent data set, right? So we have all sorts of data sets. Let's say I want to find the crime, for example. So if I just type crime, I can see there are like 741 data sets just related to crime. Okay. So I can go through each of the data set. Let's say there is a data set which is finding my interest, which is crime in India. So I'll just open this. Once I open this, I can straight away see there are like 28 solutions already present for this data set. Okay. If I go down, the data set is available here. I can see here the download option, and we have so many data sets here. I can download this data set from this option. So I already got the data set. I acquired the data. Now the next task is to analyze. So there are like 28 solutions already present here. If I click on this, let's filter it out by Python because we don't want any other language here. So I filtered it out only with Python. So all I have solutions here is of Python for that particular data set. Let's say if I will open this. Let's say, for example, I'll open this. I can see this guy's solutions here, right? What he has used, how he has used, what kind of visualization he has done. Similarly, there are like, if a person goes through like 5 to 10 solutions here, a person will get to know how to analyze that kind of data set. He will get that mindset. That is very important to get the mindset of analytics. So using those 10 solutions plus his own creative ideas, he can make up his own solution using Python. He can analyze the data set. He can create a project basically. Once that project is ready, what he can do is he can go to GitHub and he can upload it here. As I mentioned before coming here, I already had like 3 to 4 projects, and over the time I have done like 12 to 13 projects, and they are still counting. So it's a never-ending process. So once a person has done their project, they can upload on the GitHub, and they can provide this GitHub link in their resumes. Because once they apply to any companies, and once the resumes go to the hiring managers, if there is a GitHub link present, then the hiring manager can do his own research. He can go to his GitHub. He can see what kind of technical skills he possesses, and that will already give a upper edge to that person as compared to others in the pool. So this is what I wanted to share. So the first thing is creating projects and how they can create projects using Kaggle. And the next step is to upload those projects into GitHub, and then providing those GitHub link in the LinkedIn profile or in the resume, anywhere. So that will help a lot.
Got it. That is like a very fair and a very good demonstration. You actually did a screen sharing. So thank you so much for that. So I think that's pretty much all I had for you, Abhijit. So thank you so much for sharing all the insights. For all the viewers, I'll go ahead and put Abhijit's LinkedIn into the description. So you can connect with him around any guidance that he would like to share, or if you want to pursue a degree in US, or if you have a requirement around working in the data domain, please feel free to connect to him. Do feel free to connect with him. But thank you so much, Abhijit, for your time today. It was really nice talking to you.
No, pleasure is all mine, Saurav. Thank you for having me. As I mentioned, the initiative that you have taken to help the students all over the world is commendable. So I wish you all the best, and all the viewers all the best. And again, thank you for all the help that you gave me during my initial phases. So I'll be always respectful and honored for that. So thank you so much. And that's it. So have a good night, Saurav. I wish to see you again. Thank you.
And it's just a cycle, Abhijit. So continue the good work, pass it on to someone else.
We both will do that together.
Sure. Yeah. Take care.